Have you ever stepped out of the bath, looked down at your hands, and noticed your fingers look like tiny raisins? It's one of those everyday mysteries we barely question. We all know it happens after a long soak, whether in the shower, the pool, or the ocean. But why does it happen at all? Your skin doesn't wrinkle when it gets wet from rain or sweat, so what makes soaking in water so different? For a long time, people assumed the answer was simple. But as it turns out, the real explanation is far more surprising. Today, we're going to uncover what's really happening beneath your skin and why this strange little reaction exists in the first place, right here on History of Simple Things. For decades, the most common explanation was that skin wrinkles because it absorbs water and swells. The outermost layer of your skin, called the epidermis, is made up of dead cells that can soak up moisture like a sponge. As water enters these cells, they expand unevenly, causing the surface to buckle and wrinkle. It sounds logical, and it explains why wrinkles appear only after several minutes in water rather than instantly. But scientists eventually noticed something odd. This explanation didn't fully hold up. The first cracks in the theory appeared when doctors observed patients with nerve damage in their fingers. These patients could soak their hands in water for a long time, yet their fingers stayed smooth, no wrinkles. If water absorption alone caused wrinkling, this shouldn't happen. Skin cells would still swell regardless of nerve function. That discovery pushed researchers to look deeper, and what they found completely changed our understanding. It turns out that wrinkly fingers are not a passive reaction to water at all. They are an active response controlled by your nervous system. When your fingers are submerged for several minutes, water enters sweat pores and disrupts the balance of salts in your skin. Specialized nerve endings detect this change and send a signal to your brain. In response, your autonomic nervous system, the same system that controls things like heart rate and digestion, steps in. The brain then triggers tiny blood vessels beneath the skin of your fingers to constrict. As these blood vessels narrow, they reduce the volume of tissue beneath the skin. The surface skin doesn't shrink at the same rate, so it folds inward, creating wrinkles. In other words, your fingers wrinkle not because they swell, but because they slightly shrink from the inside. This explains why wrinkling takes time, and why it only happens in specific areas like fingertips and toes. These regions have a high concentration of nerve endings and blood vessels, making them especially sensitive to this response. It also explains why people with nerve damage don't wrinkle. Without proper nerve signals, the blood vessels don't constrict, and the skin stays smooth. But here's the even bigger question. Why would our bodies evolve a feature like this at all? Evolution rarely keeps useless traits around, especially ones that require active energy from the nervous system. So, what's the benefit of wrinkly fingers? Scientists believe wrinkling is an adaptation that improves grip in wet environments. The wrinkles act like tread on a tire or grooves on a rain boot. They create channels that help drain water away from the surface of your skin, allowing your fingers to make better contact with wet objects. This improves friction and makes it easier to grasp things like slippery rocks, wet branches, or even food. Another fascinating detail is that wrinkles form in the same pattern every time. If you soak your hands today and then again next week, the wrinkles will appear in nearly identical places. That's because the pattern is determined by the layout of blood vessels beneath your skin. Since those vessels don't change much, the wrinkles follow the same paths again and again, like a hidden map just beneath the surface. You might wonder why wrinkling doesn't happen instantly if it's so useful. The delay is actually important. Wrinkled skin is slightly less sensitive and more fragile than smooth skin. If your fingers were wrinkled all the time, you'd lose some tactile precision and increase the risk of skin damage. So your body only activates this feature when it senses prolonged exposure to water, when the benefits outweigh the downsides. There's also a reason this effect fades quickly once you're dry. As soon as your fingers leave the water, blood vessels relax and return to their normal size. Blood flow increases again, the skin smooths out, and your fingers go back to their usual state. It's a reversible, on-demand adaptation. There when you need it, gone when you don't. Interestingly, temperature plays a role too. Cold water often makes fingers wrinkle faster than warm water. That's because cold already causes blood vessels to constrict, reinforcing the effect. However, even in warm water, the nervous system still triggers wrinkling given enough time, showing that water exposure, not temperature alone, is the key factor. This discovery also highlights how interconnected our bodies really are. Something that looks like a simple skin reaction is actually the result of complex communication between nerves, blood vessels, and the brain. It's a reminder that even the smallest details of our bodies often have deeper explanations shaped by evolution. So the next time you notice your fingers wrinkling in the bath or at the beach, you're not just seeing soggy skin. You're watching your nervous system flip on an ancient survival feature, quietly adjusting your body to handle a wet world a little better. It's one of those subtle, almost invisible tricks your body performs every day, without you ever having to ask. And maybe that's the most fascinating part. Even in moments when you're doing absolutely nothing, just soaking, relaxing, or splashing around, your body is still thinking ahead, adapting and optimizing. Wrinkly fingers aren't a flaw or a side effect. They're proof that evolution paid attention to the details. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.